Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Clevenger Canyon San Pasqual North Trail, or often referred to as just Clevenger Canyon North Trail. Now I did the 𝐥𝐸𝐬 Trail video that's located at the South Clevenger Canyon Trailhead. I've done the South Clevenger Canyon, and now I'm doing North. Out of all of them, this is probably my least favorite. There are some really pretty views at the top, but the hike itself is not that fun. There's a ton of graffiti at the bottom. There's pieces of it at the top that are burned, and I still think either for sunset or just kind of the aesthetic, we'll say overall, South Clevenger Canyon is the place to go. So if you're looking to choose one out of these two or three, I would recommend South. Get to know this 4.1. All right, length is 4.1 miles, elevation gain is a little under 1,400. I got a little bit higher than that, and the route type is an out and back. Dogs on leash welcome. Kids, you can. This is not an exciting hike, so they may, if you have little ones, they may complain about like, are we done? Best time to visit would be not hot. Honestly, remember this is off the 78, it's over by 𝐦𝐸𝐬𝐷𝐸. It gets hotter than maybe where you're at. So make sure you kind of look at the weather around 𝐦𝐸𝐸𝐷𝐸 area, specifically the safari park, because that's like 10 minutes away from here. if you're curious about what the weather looks like, but I would avoid summer months. The description actually has really good information about the adventure pass. The North Trail crosses this, does that. Hike is about 5 miles east of the Wild Animal Park, directly off the 78, which is what I mentioned. Not a lot of shade on the trail. I'll put this in the description as well in case somebody decides to change this, but it's nice to see good descriptions there. And there's a couple things that I want to touch on here. Well maintained, I guess you could argue that. Graffiti rocks are mostly along the trail, but really ruin the landscape. That's part of the reason why I don't rate this one, is like, you should go check this out if you're choosing between one or the other. So this graffiti, boohoo, people suck, the hike was awesome. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Out of all the things that you can go to, this is a good hike. It's a little bit more out in nature and stuff like that. But as you saw in the video, I mean, I wouldn't say this hike is awesome. And I do want to touch on here, right? This route, if you look on Peak Bagger, there is a short hike up to Peak 1820. You got to do a little bit of bushwhacking and wear long pants if you really want to get there. I don't do that. So I will link the Peak Bagger link in the description down below. If you're a Peak Bagger and you're like, I want to get there, make sure you check this out because it does have that little side trail that you can go off and explore. I'll make this quick. So 𝐿𝐴venger Canyon North Trail, it is not permanently closed. I'm not sure why it says that. You can see really close to the South 𝐿𝐴venger Trail head. It's just a little bit more east, and you could do both in one day if you really wanted to. If you want to do like a long hike and just split this. Parking lot, as I've mentioned before, and I mentioned in the other trail guide, the parking lot right off the 78. This is prime spot for getting your car broken into. Do not leave valuables. It is really easy for somebody to come in, look around, you're all the way up the mountain, they see something nice, break the window, and they just fly off San Pasqual Valley Road up to the 78. Be careful, be safe, and just make sure you don't keep anything valuable, in sight if you're peeking through the windows. The trail itself, so this trail is a little bit interesting because you start by the road and then you go down to where the water is or would be depending on the time of year you go. And all this area all the way up to here is really just graffiti, graffiti, graffiti. I'm guessing this was probably, it either is or used to be a hangout place for some of these teenagers in the area. Really starts to get more pretty as you head up the mountain. You'll start to see some better sights of the south, so where the South Trail is located. You'll start to see some of that, but that won't become as obvious until you get to the very top. At the very top, there are some really pretty views of just the hills, San Pasqual Valley in general. Some of these viewpoints here where you stop in the corners, take a breather. Right here, you got really nice views west, southwest. And then again, as you make it to the top, you'll see some of the stuff that's burned, nothing too exciting. And then as you get to the very top, again, views south is gonna be where you wanna look, where you wanna take some pictures. North Clevenger, if you haven't done it, you should. And if you have done it, you're probably good. That's the best way to describe this hike. Stick around and I'll see you next week.